Hi, I'm Mick from Superior Engineering. Today I'm going to show you a video on how to replace a swivel fitting and post on the Amadaxtreme shock. So these are the two parts we're talking about here that may be leaking or may need to replace or damaged or for whatever reason. So what we want to do, you've got your shock there, so we're leaking here. Basically what we're going to do is start off at this end of the reservoir end, and we want to either remove the Schroeder or just dump the gas out. I like to just dump the gas out, not take the Schroeder out. If you remove the Schroeder, you run the risk of damaging the Schroeder. Once you've got your gas out, then we can proceed. See, basically, to give you an understanding, you've got in here a floating piston. So this is all gas, and then all this is oil all the way through. Now we've released the pressure here. When we undo here, all your oil's not going to go everywhere. So what we want to do, circlip pliers here. Just remove that small circlip. Now you may get a little bit of oil here. Take that out. Make sure you're in a clean environment. Just hang that up there. Now the reason I've hung it up there, if I hang it up the other way, the oil's going to run out. This makes our job a bit harder. Now as you can see here, we've got two O-rings. This is a closer view of a post here. So we're replacing these two, or you may, if it's leaking on that washer, you may replace the whole washer. If you're going to replace the whole thing, it's a matter of a 19mm spanner. And actually undo that, screw that out, clean it all up, put some Loctite 567 on your thread, and then you'd screw that back in. Don't over tighten, it's only aluminium, you don't want to strip it. So that's if you were to replace that. This particular one will just change the O-rings out. So use a seal pick. Take that O-ring off. And obviously be careful, steel picks are sharp. Just work that off. Most important thing to remember when working with shocks is a really clean environment. You can't have any dirt or grime on anything. You have to be super careful not to nick the O-rings. It's very easy to nick an O-ring when you're putting it together, and then the shock's going to leak again. So you need to clean that down. You need to fully inspect all the way around, because at this current point you might know why that shock's leaked. It could be something that's scratched, it could be dirt that's got in there, it could be a manufacturing fault. So you really need to inspect to see if you can, to work out why it's leaked. It could be a matter of they've put that shock together in the factory and they could have damaged the O-ring not realising, and it could have taken weeks to leak. With your new O-ring, you've got to look under light, and you've got to be really, really careful there's no nicks. You don't take for granted the O-ring you bought brand new is perfect. If there's any nicks or the slightest mark, don't use it. So what you want to do now, a bit of rubber grease. Put some grease on this post. The grease means you'll have less chance of that O-ring getting damaged pushing it on. It is very easy to damage an O-ring. So once we've got that, bit of grease on that O-ring there, just work that onto that first groove. That's your first one. The next O-ring, same thing, a little bit of grease on there. So work that over the first one, and now you're in that middle groove there. I'm just using my fingernails here. You can use a seal pick if you like. With the grease it all goes on pretty easy. Alright, so that's that. Now what we'll do, with this part, if you need to replace that for whatever reason, you might work out that that's the cause of the problem. Same thing, could be a manufacturer's fault. It could have got hit by an object when full driving, but in this case we're going to replace it. So this is where you want your soft jaws. So put them in your vise. Nice and firm. I've got a heat gun in case you need to put a bit of heat on that. Sometimes they are very tight. Depends on how much Loctite is on them. So just undo that. Hold your line nice and straight. take that off. Still try and keep that line up nice and clean and out of the way. Put your damaged part to the side and get your new part. It's very important here to clean that up, make sure there's nothing going down inside of that pipe. If anything goes inside of that, then you risk that going into your oil and everything, causing more damage further up the shock. So nice and clean. Make sure your new part's got no oil and it's nice and clean. There's no burrs from manufacturing anywhere. Same thing, visual check. It only needs the tiniest little nick somewhere that'll cause you problems. And then this is what we use, 5, 6, 7. You can use thread tape, but this liquid seems to work a lot better than thread tape. You're running fairly high pressure through shocks. So have that all the way around there. And start threading that on. They are a taper on these. That's nice and firm. You can wipe that excess off. Right, now what we need to do, we've got the grease on here, so we're just going to gently push this back on. This way you've got to be really careful not to damage that O-ring. Just work it down, nice and gently. Circle it back on. Just make sure that moves nice and free. Be careful when you set these shocks up with the hoses on the car. You don't want pressure pulling the fittings because there are O-rings in there, so they're designed to seal. They're not designed for things to be pulling with side loads, that sort of stuff. So if something's on a car, you want to try and loop it basically like that. You don't want the hose pulling hard that way. That'll make them leak. Alright, so basically once you've got back to that point, then have a look at our video on how to bleed the shock.